Well, coming up on today's show, Elon Musk arrives in China for the Gigafactory 3 groundbreaking. Byton M-Byte makes its debut at CES, and find out why a particular group of experts predict the end of fossil fuels earlier than you ever thought. Well, good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily. It's Monday the 7th of January, 2019. My name is Martyn Lee, and I've been through every EV story I can find today and picked out the ones I think you need to know about. Thank you so much to the team at myev.com for building the world's first marketplace for buying and selling EVs and learning about EVs as well. A great research section on the way on there, by the way. So many people are EV curious, and maybe they'll make 2019 the year that they think, you know what, maybe I'll put an EV on my driveway or outside where I live. But you want to learn more first, check out the research section of myev.com. We'll start with a story that was rumbling yesterday to do with the end of ICE engines. Experts believe the sales of combustion engine cars have already peaked. After speaking to specialists from the auto industry, the Financial Times newspaper published a comprehensive report about the fossil-burning engines. Interestingly, says this article, several experts told the Financial Times that sales of fossil engines actually peaked in 2018, which basically means that it's unlikely that more cars with combustion engines will be sold within a year in the future. According to Anthony Karr, writing today for Motor1.com, in 2019, global vehicle sales aren't expected to decline. Actually, EVs are expected to quadruple their market share in 2019 to about 1.6%. Even if the overall sales increases through the next 12 months, deliveries of fossil cars will still fall, say these specialists. Well, Felipe Munoz, I think that's how I would say Philippe's name, maybe Felipe, a global automotive analyst for Jato Dynamics, told the Financial Times, and I quote, "We'll probably see the peak of combustion engine car sales in 2018 based on global sales through October, plus estimates for November and December," end quote. What do you think about that story? Let me know in the show notes. You can email me in the comments, rather. You can email me hello@evnewsdaily.com anytime you want to feed back into the show or leave a comment on YouTube or the Facebook comments. Well, we've seen the pictures on Twitter today of Elon Musk touching down in China and arriving at the site of the Tesla Gigafactory 3 for the groundbreaking. Late Sunday evening, Elon Musk was tweeting, and he announced that the automaker was hours away from a very important event, reports Wade Malone for InsideEVs.com. Inside EVs always have the scoop on these kind of stories. How do they get that? Now we know the official groundbreaking of Tesla's Chinese Gigafactory, or Giga 3, if you like, in Shanghai, will occur, well, today, Monday. Elon Musk says initial construction of the Shanghai Gigafactory is set to be completed before the end of summer. In a series of Elon tweets, he said this: "Looking forward to breaking ground at the Tesla Shanghai Gigafactory today." He said, aiming to finish initial construction this summer, start Model 3 production end of year and reach high-volume production next year. He said Shanghai Giga will produce affordable versions of 3 and Y for Greater China, all Model S and X, and higher cost versions of 3 and Y still built in the US for the worldwide market, including China. He said Shanghai Giga production of Model 3 and Y will serve Greater China region. Well, as for Simon at Teslarati, he says clues about Tesla's Gigafactory 3 groundbreaking event emerged over the weekend after Tesla's critics would share information online about the route of Elon Musk's private jet. By late Sunday or early Monday morning China time, invitations for the event had already emerged online, with screenshots being shown on Twitter of the badge that says VIP on. Tesla owner and enthusiast on Twitter, Vincent, for one, shared an image of the invitation for the Giga 3 groundbreaking event forwarded by the Shanghai Tesla Owners Group. I'll put a link to Inside EVs and Teslarati in the show notes there. What do you think about that? So we get the confirmation that the groundbreaking is today, that only the base models of the 3 and the Y are going to be built in China. Still no more details of what built means, how much is really going to be assembled in China, obviously enough to avoid any kind of tariffs, and that all versions of the 3, the Y, the S, the X, but premium versions will still be made in the US for worldwide deliveries, including China. So it really is just the cheapest of the cheap, the base Model 3, the base Model Y. Something that wasn't clear today is whether the base Model 3 would be made in China, but then shipped outside of China, if that makes sense. Maybe anyone listening now has got some clarification on that I couldn't find or that I've missed today. Okay, let's talk about another Chinese automaker. And the Chinese startup Byton took the automotive world by surprise last year at the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, where it exhibited the M-Byte. Now, the M-Byte concept had this huge touchscreen display for the infotainment system, says Adrian Padno from Motor1.com. Now, for this year's show in Las Vegas, they have unveiled the production-ready cabin of its all-electric SUV, and it's got this expansive display. It's 48 inches, and it might be 48 inches wide, but it's not so high, if you like. It's a bit wider. I love this. Motor1.com they've done the maths, and you know how, if you get like any kind of comparison, everything is either in how high in terms of how many London double-decker buses, how many Olympic swimming pools would that fill? But I like the Motor1 definition of how many iPads is that? Well, the M-Byte's screen is officially 7 iPads wide. Wonderful. This is good news. I like the comparison. It's a 7 iPad screen. 7 iPads side by side. Tesla's 17-inch screen doesn't look so big anymore, does it? Dubbed the Shared Experience Display, the SED. I mean, it really will, because anybody in the car can see it from a mile off. It's by far the largest screen in any automotive industry car that we know about, and stretches from one A-pillar to the other. I mean, it's right across the dash. At first glance, it might seem distracting because of its sheer size, but Byton says it doesn't interfere with the driver's line of sight. A full reveal of the Byton M-Byte production version is scheduled for the middle of the year. Ahead of production starts towards the end of this year in 2019. They're going to make it at Nanjing in China. Buyers are going to get a choice of two. You're going to get 71 kilowatt hours, which is about 250 miles, and that's going to start at $45,000. And the top of the range, 95 kilowatt hour version, which does 325 miles. The M-Byte's electric SUV is going to be available at first in China, then North America and Europe will follow sometime in 2020. I'll put a link to the Motor1 article in the show notes. If you haven't seen the pictures yourself yet, click on the link, have a look. It just sort of, the mind boggles a little bit. It's basically the whole dash is just one big screen. And it's not the only screen that you get, by the way. The middle of the steering wheel, that's a screen as well. Oh, and they've added a third one as well. Down where your hand would rest when you are driving, you're sitting in the front of the car, and your hand would rest in the center console. They've added another screen down there now for you to easily, think of it like a giant trackpad, maybe, is the best way I can describe it, as a way of controlling the main big screen, the 48-inch screen in front of you. Let's talk electric motor racing. My current passion at the moment is Formula E. I've got really big hopes for this season of Formula E. The first generation car was really interesting, and the races were great because they were more unpredictable. If you like this second generation Formula E car with no driver swaps, for instance, I think this is going to be opening it up to a whole new audience. Well, the triple Le Mans winner Benoit Trullier and the Formula 2 race winner Nick de Vries are going to drive for Virgin Racing. Going to be this weekend post-race test. Now, the race is going to be in Marrakesh for the ABB FIA Formula E. Says Alex Kalinokis for motorsport.com. The factory Audi driver, Trellier, will, I think I've probably said his name massively wrong there, will make his first official Formula E appearance at the test. That's going to follow the Marrakesh E-Prix on the 12th of January this weekend. And the test is open to any driver that's never held an E license, whereas Nick de Vries, who will race for the ART Grand Prix F2 squad this year, took part in the corresponding test in Marrakesh last year for the Works Audi squad. He's 23 and he was Audi's reserve Formula E driver for 17-18 season and in New York last July. This year, because the season spans 2 calendar years, sort of it, like only just. The 18-19 season is Virgin's first Formula E campaign as an Audi customer squad. I'll put a full link to the motorsport.com article in the show notes if you want to read more. And if you have any thoughts on electric motorsport, then you can feel free to email me anytime. hello@evnewsdaily.com. Final story today, and according to Electric, Tesla has delivered one of the biggest fleets to date to a rental company. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't he talking about rental all month? Yeah, I want to try and find rental stories to talk about, and then this one fell in my lap. Lovely. According to Electrek, Tesla has delivered a fleet of cars to Avis, the rental car company Avis. They bought several hundred of the S and the X vehicles. They took delivery of around 280 of them in Skopum, I think I would say that. It's a town, it's about an hour south of Oslo in Norway. Now, Norway was only just ahead of the Netherlands last year in terms of Tesla sales, and now it turns out actually that this 280 Avis vehicles, the S and the X purchase, could have been literally the only reason. If it hadn't been for this, then maybe the Netherlands would have been the biggest market for Teslas outside of the USA. So this month, if you haven't heard the Saturday special from 2 days ago, please listen to that. It's with our friend Paul from electricmotoring.net. He's in Chicago. He has several Teslas for hire. He says the Model 3, by the way, is by far and away the most popular, but he's got like a P100 DL Model X. Wow, what a car. What a car that people love to hire out. He uses Turo. And anyway, I'll let you listen to that interview if you want to. Go back to the weekend, look at Saturday's show, and it's a fascinating interview. And I was going to sit on it for a couple of weeks. I recorded that one from home in the studio via Skype, and it was just so interesting. I thought, look, let's get it out, let's publish it, because then you get to hear it as soon as possible. So this month, I'd like to talk about hiring EVs as a way of getting into them. And if you've ever hired an electric car, specifically maybe a Tesla hire company or any EV hire, or maybe just a normal hire company that had an electric car, I'd love to hear from you, by the way, so we can add your comments to what we're talking about this month. Try and get a few more Saturday specials on with hire companies as well, and from around the world too, so we can get a sense of different places. Because I think if you drive an EV, well, as soon as you've done that, it flicks a switch. So let me know. And that leads nicely on to our question of the week this week, set by myev.com. That said, it's this week's question of the week. Keep your comments coming in on email, via YouTube, and if you ever want to go to myev.com, you can feedback to the show via there. Here's the question. If an ICE driver, an EV-curious fossil driver, were to say to you that they are thinking about buying an EV this year, what's the one thing that you should tell them? And it's funny because that question follows what happened to me just a couple of days ago. I was parking the car and two people walked up in succession as I was trying to plug it in and charge it. I was, ironically, in a real hurry to just go and get some supplies. Actually, it was IKEA. I had like an hour to do IKEA. Now, you know, IKEA on a Sunday, it's going to be busy, and it was heaving, and I had an hour I knew exactly what I was getting, but I was on a real time limit, and yet I didn't want to appear hurried to people saying to me, oh, wow, I'm thinking about buying an EV. Now, rather than tell you what I told those two people who walked up to me in a car park, I don't want to kind of colour your opinion or lead you in a certain direction, so please let me know. Email hello@evnewsdaily.com. You can leave a comment. If a EV-curious fossil driver walks up to you and says they're thinking about buying an EV, what's the one thing you should tell them? Thank you very much to 153 patrons of the podcast whose outright generosity means we get to make the show, spread the word about clean transport, reducing pollution, having fun in EVs as well, and educate, maybe even entertain a few listeners. In fact, thousands of listeners around the world every single day. You can check out Patreon as well. I'd love to read your name out tomorrow if you want to join the gang. It's Patreon, patreon.com/EV News Daily. And thank you very much to our premium partners, Phil Roberts from Electric Future, that's EF.Energy. Hello to electricmotoring.net, Paul, who we've mentioned, and Brad Crosby, our three premium partners who bring you this show. Thank you so much. There are 349 previous episodes of this podcast online for you to listen to whenever you want to. It's all free. Patreon means that we get to keep the hosting up there. They all stay online forever. Well, for as long as people listen to them and you're interested. And they are all on there. The new ones you can subscribe to free and instantly. If you want to hit that subscribe button either on the YouTube audio which we put up, or if it's a pure podcast, hit subscribe on the app and you get them first and free and automatically. And if you can leave a little review maybe for the podcast, if you get 5 minutes, but I know you're busy, I'd really appreciate that. In the meantime, come and say hi on the socials over the next day by searching EV News Daily. Do have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.